Yes, there will be spoilers. So I recently made a video on Mortal Kombat and my thoughts on its gameplay. Feel free to check it out. After completing the story, all I can honestly say is, wow. Like honestly, this had to be the best thing they did with the story, and for so many reasons. Also, make sure you subscribe to see more amazing content like this. First, so many characters are just given justice, man. Like if you recall the previous games, a lot of characters were given good development, while the rest of them were treated like a massive punching bag. And this was something I didn't realize until I actually started studying these stories closely. Characters like Baraka and Reptile were just absolute jobbers. They were characters that had potential to be more than just stock henchmen. Like for context, in this story, Baraka's Tarkatan race is not a race. Instead, they are victims of a disease called Tarkat. And this causes these characters, these people, to undergo these horrific mutations and eventually turn into vicious animals. But the women are kind of fine. Baraka was an Outworld merchant who lost his family to this disease, and then he was banished from Outworld and just left to die. In this story, he actually assists the Earthrealmers in trying to capture Shang Tsung. Just like that, he is turned from mindless jobber to an actual character with personality and history. You see how easy that is? And that was so mind-blowing for me. I've just been so used to kicking Baraka's ass that actually fighting as him and seeing him save Earthrealm warriors was actually great. Like just like that, we also figure out that Reptile is a shape-shifting Zetarian. He's forced to work for Shang Tsung after he kidnapped his family. However, once Shang Tsung admits that he already had Reptile's family killed, Reptile, or Sizoth, cold name by the way, aids the Earthrealmers in taking down the sorcerers. I am just so happy that both these characters got justice, man. Like I genuinely am. Because it really isn't just them. Shao Kahn is actually more than just a stock villain in this, and Sindel isn't just lusting after him every 5 minutes. Do you know how refreshing it is to finally not be consistently irritated whenever these two come on screen? Like, this is the first time in any Mortal Kombat game that I actually just sat my ass down and listened to everything they had to say. Because these characters are actually interesting, man. And like there's genuine stakes to the fight. For example, I don't want to talk about Mortal Kombat 9. For example, Mortal Kombat 9's story really just tried to put fights in wherever they could. Like Johnny tries to flirt with Sonya and she just tries kicking his... Actually, fair enough. But there's this scene later on in the game that Jax gets pissed off because Johnny keeps calling Sonya Blade hot, and they start a whole fight down in the armory. Raiden watching as well. Like, bro, why are you not doing anything? You don't have time for that. You're in enemy territory, bro. In this game, the fights are kind of like actually reasonable. And like, the tournament itself was quite interesting because characters who would have lost the fight actually had stakes. Li Mei fought Raiden to earn her reputation back after she was unable to stop Jared's killer. Kitana had to cover for Mileena as she had the Tarkat disease and couldn't fight. Like this is how you initiate battles. Every reason a character fights in this game is an actual reason to fight. Also, they did include some test your might segments like they did with quick time events in MKX, and that's really to just keep you engaged with the cutscenes, which I don't really care because I was always engaged with the cutscenes. Like I also want to mention like the more emotional moments, because this is the first game where the emotional moments are actually good. Sindel's death was a great moment, and the first time a death in the story has actually had impact. I genuinely felt for these characters, and that's honestly down to the fact that Sindel's character is just so much better than it used to be. She isn't just Shao Kahn's bitch, but we see more of a kinder side, more of a caring mother side. We've seen the way she cares for Kitana and Mileena. We saw how hurt she was when Jared died. It's such a refreshing take on a character that has just been destroyed in the previous installments. There's a scene where Kitana and Liu Kang reunite, and seeing that in the final chapter was like, it made the previous chapters worth going through. It's not like they weren't worth going through in the first place, they actually are really good. So I want to talk about the final chapter because, oh my god! This is like the best final chapter in any of the games, by the way. It's like this big Avengers Endgame type scene with characters from alternate timeline. It is just basically Avengers Endgame, innit? But not only do you get to pick a character from the roster, but you have personalized endings for each of these characters. Well, no, you still have to fight the main villain at the end. But like, to get to him, you have to go up this like huge ass pyramid. And on the way up there, you're confronted by characters who are from alternate timelines, and they are blended with other characters, like such as a Scorpion Kung Lao, a Johnny Cage Liu Kang. Well, the list goes on. I haven't actually really done every character on this story. This is actually the first time I've had so much fun on the ending story mode. Also, gonna let out my inner filmmaking nerd here, but my god, the camera work in this is a major step up. There's this specific shot right here, which is not only amazing by the way, but it's actually symbolic. Here we go. Usually between Sindel and Shao Kahn, it's obvious Shao Kahn has been portrayed more as the dominant one. However, in this scene, Sindel is shown in this sinister angle that displays her dominance over General Shao. And story-wise, not only is she more dominant because she's the queen, but because of her allies and who she sides with, she's also a genuine threat. This is by far my favorite shot in the game. You know, honestly, once I finished the story, I was so miserable. Like, because I really wanted to see more of this new timeline. Like, with all the characters completely changing, like, personalities and roles, it was such a unique and fresh start to a new series in the game. And if the next game is going to be anything like this, I am so ready. Alright, enough yapping. Check out my previous video. Peace. Should probably turn off the camera, actually.